I'm Adrian Pagdin, and I'm going to share with you across this short series some thoughts, some tools, some techniques on what are projects, what's project management, what's change management, and why should you care? What is the role of the project manager and all these other people that are involved in projects? What does agile mean? What does waterfall mean? But above all, I want you to take away the fact that project management, if it's applied well, is common sense with some control, some management, and a good dollop of people management. I hope you enjoy. Welcome to episode 1 of 6 in this short series of The Accidental Project Manager. So, what exactly is the accidental project manager? Well, probably like you, I fell into project management. I remember very clearly I was a hotel general manager at the time. I was doing very well, thank you very much. And an opportunity came along, knock on the door. How would you like to be a project manager to open a new hotel? Now, if I'm honest with you, I think the thing that swung it for me was like the business cards and the laptop and the company car. It certainly wasn't a deep understanding of what project management was. And so off I went to a green field in Peterborough, and honestly, I think there were sheep grazing on the field. There was nothing there. There was a porter cabin, and as David, who was my manager at the time, drove off into the distance, leaving this biblical pile of dust behind him, I remember thinking, well, this is nice. What do I do now? That started my love affair with flip chart paper, because it was the biggest sheets of paper I could get my hands on. And I started making lists, like you would, right? Now I need people, I need customers. I know a builder's going to come along and he's going to do his thing, but what do I need to check there? I've got some standards, some systems, I need supplies. And each one of these sheets of paper had a big thing at the top, supply, people. And so that was my first attempt at project management. I was rewarded for all of my hard work opening that hotel by being given another hotel in Canterbury to open. And around about that time, I started to think maybe all of this energy and exhaustion, maybe it's not quite right. And I had an opportunity to go into London to work for a telecommunications company. But I went there as a project manager, and they had a project management school. So I did my PMP and my Prince 2, and I understood about the application of controls, which is something we'll talk about in another lesson. Now, for most, there are professional project managers, right? But for most of us, they're a side desk project, and they start in a similar way to my career. Someone comes along and says, hey, do you fancy getting involved in a project? It's going to be really cool. It's going to be amazing. And you're thinking, well, I'm actually quite busy, but it sounds kind of cool, right? And so you throw yourself into this initiative. And one thing was a couple of things I want to share with you. The first one is the concept of Peter's principle. So the concept of being promoted beyond your level of competence. And this is really crucial in project management, and you'll relate to it yourself if you've been there. You are a great software engineer, or you're great at marketing or HR, and that's why the business has come to you with this project, because you're the best person. So you throw yourself into it, and you're really good at HR or software engineering or whatever it is, but there are other things like planning and people management and forecasting and finance and all of these other things that you're not quite so good at, but you're enthusiastic and you bumble along. But eventually you start to fall over. You start to fail because you're not an expert at all of these things. Another thing to think about is that most of us are T-shaped as a professional. We've got this kind of broad base of understanding of how a business works, all the different functions, inquiry through to billing or people, processes, systems, product development. And then we'll have one deep layer of expertise: finance, law, people, change, whatever it might be. That's your kind of deep area. And there are other people across the business that are like that, right? They're that kind of shaped, but they're different. So the thing about most accidental project managers is that we find ourselves using loads of energy, and through no direct fault of our own, we're struggling because there's all these different concepts we need to understand. So what is the takeaway? What's the outcome of this? It's to recognize right from the start that as a project manager, and we'll talk about this in another episode, the super project manager, no project manager can do all of the things that a project requires. So the key to success is, number one, recognizing that. And number two is getting people to support you. And a close third, actually, is to have that conversation with the person that's asking you to do the project. There's a difference between delegation and abdication, right? And delegation is where you're given support and you're enabled to complete the project. So you need to have support. I'm often mindful of a lovely story. I hope this is true. That whenever Warren Buffett, the sage of Omaha, super successful investor, and he would say, you know, all of this success wasn't down to me. I managed to surround myself with really brilliant people. And when someone gets promoted in his organization, they get this matryoshka Russian doll, and you take off the layers. It's got a big one, and you get smaller and smaller and smaller. And wrapped around the last one is a piece of paper, and it says, if you want to build a company of giants, then surround yourself with people more capable than yourself. So my first piece of advice about being an accidental project manager is surround yourself with people who can help you and learn along the way. I hope you enjoyed that first episode. If you want to know more about any of the topics you hear on any of this series, if you're interested in coaching, having a webinar or a training session, if you want to buy the book, then check out tcqprojects.co.uk.